Welcome to another segment of The Entrepreneurial Educator. We are here in San Rafael, California at the studios of Huey Lewis and the News. We are really excited to have Huey Lewis with us today. Welcome, Huey.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
So, Huey, when the words Huey Lewis and the News roll off my tongue, first and foremost, I think of cats like your bandmates, Bill Gibson, our friend, the drummer, Sean Hopper, Johnny Cola.
All local boys.
Yep. I think of the news that you guys have created over the course of 3.5 decades of stardom and celebrity and making good music. And
Not necessarily in that order.
no, definitely not in that order. I also think of some of the things that are a little more understated, a little bit more underpublicized related to you and some of the endeavors that you've been involved in. You are a philanthropist, you are a sportsman, you are a Hollywood actor, you are a Broadway actor, a whole host of things. And underneath it all, you're entrepreneurial. And frankly, one of the things that we're trying to get across to our lifelong learners is this concept of entrepreneurialism and some of the things. Tell us a little bit about that, about what makes you tick, and some of the cool things that you're working on currently.
You know, it's interesting because I don't think of myself as an entrepreneur ever, even though, I suppose I am in terms of the definition. But it was never about being an entrepreneur for me. It's a foreign concept. I only knew what the word meant, recently, or not that recently, but you know what I mean. But so for me, it was always, and my advice is always the same to everybody, which is find something that you just love to do. And if you love to do it, you'll do it a lot. And if you do it a lot, you'll be really good at it. And if you're good at it, you will be successful. And I don't care what it is. If it's hang gliding, you might not be the best hang glider in the world, but there's a million ways to be involved in hang gliding. And success, after all, is not just economic success, but being happy at what you're doing. So really that's the key. And that's what I did. I decided I went to prep school in New Jersey, then I went to college at Cornell for 5 minutes over a 2-year period, but I had already discovered the harmonica, and I decided I wanted to be a harmonica player. And now today I have all these, we have a company and we have all this stuff and all these people, and I have a family and I have obligations, but I might not have had any of that had I not been successful, but I would still be happy being a harmonica player playing down at the local club because that's what I love to do.
Well, and many of the audience might not know this, but you didn't hit it overnight.
Right.
I mean, you worked hard. I think you were, hit celebrity late 20s, early 30s. Tell us some of the stuff that you were doing for that 10, 12 years from out of high school to kind of make ends meet.
Well, playing in clubs and trying to convince record labels that we were something they should take bet on. And we did. And by the way, then when we got signed by a record label, we made our manager at the time, Bob Brown, who we both know, was a relentless advocate for us. And he kind of felt that we could produce our own records, which in 1980 was very, very rare. New bands producing their own records. The conventional wisdom was you need a producer with a track record. And so he went to bat for us, and they agreed to let us produce our own record, which we did, and that was very interesting. Sports was our first record. Was Picture This. We kind of learned a little bit, and Sports was our second record that we'd produced. And in those days, it was 1983 when we made the record, or 82 really. MTV had just started. It was a radio world. All radio was programmed, even FM radio, which had started in the very early 60s and as playing anything and everything, by now was programmed into what they called CHR, Contemporary Hit Radio. And there were sort of 20 spots in those playlists. And you needed to be one of those 20 to be successful in 1980. And MTV played only the radio hits. If you remember, some of the videos were horrible, and some were only because they were playing them according to the radio hits. And so it was an audio world, and you needed a hit single. And so that was our job as producers. So we aimed a lot of tracks right at radio. And in retrospect, when I listen to the sports album, it sounds like very much a record of its time, which is a collection of singles. And it hit. We sold 10 million records. Well, now what? Now what? Well, we suddenly could pay the bills easily, and so on. So at that point, I made a conscious decision, and we all did, to now suddenly make our decisions creative and not economic, because we figured we owed it to our artistic selves, and that would see us better in the future. And in fact, it has. That's what the Broadway show is about. You get paid almost nothing for that. That's what some of the acting is about. That's what some of our subsequent records are about. That rather than try and sell more than we ever had, we tried to make better records than we've ever had. And that is, I think, what has seen us through in the long term. We kind of affectionately call it infiltrate and then double cross.